Whoa, it's here after all this time. The Clone Wars finale is here. And here's our list of everything you missed in the Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 12, titled Victory and Death. Let's get into it.
Hello there.
What's going on, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well and staying healthy. I am a little under the weather at the moment, so excuse my voice. Before we get into today's video, this video does contain spoilers to the Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 12, titled Victory and Death, as well as other parts of the season, so this is your warning. Now moving on into today's video, I have to say, this was such an emotional episode, and I cried multiple times. As we have with our last couple of episodes, we began where we left off with our characters Rex and Ahsoka after getting Rex's inhibitor chip out that executes Order 66 and other orders. I want to point out how in the last episode titled Shattered, before shooting at Ahsoka, Rex says he'll do it, and he says find Fives, which was him telling Ahsoka to go find Clone Troopers 5's file, which she finds out what is happening and how to save Rex. You also may have noticed that Rex was able to resist the order more than other clones that we see. When they get the order, they simply reply, "Yes, my lord." However, when Rex is given the order, he manages to resist enough to warn Ahsoka and tell her to find Fives' file. At first, when Rex said this, I thought he was talking to himself, trying to figure out what Fives would do in this situation, as he knows it isn't right and something is definitely up. He may have also been trying to remember what Fives said before he died. Moving on, we also see Rex say in this scene, "Yes, Lord Sidious," as all the other clones say, "Yes, my lord." This is because he had recently heard the name Sidious with this meeting with Bo-Katan and Ahsoka, and was supposed to be able to put two and two together, as well as not having let the chip take full control yet. Now, the reason we see Rex struggle and resist the order for such a long time compared to the other clones is his personal attachment that Anakin left on him. As we see with the majority of other Jedi and their clones, they don't really have attachments and relationships with one another. Not to the extent of Anakin and Ahsoka, at least. I know all that takes place in the last episode, but I still thought I'd explain, as it's a huge question I've seen many ask. Moving on with the episode, the door that separates Ahsoka and Rex from the other clones is breached. Ahsoka tells Rex to set his guns to stun, and I believe she says this to him as I think that she still thinks that there could be hope and time of saving the other clones as she did with Rex. She also says she doesn't want to kill any of them. The door is breached and they blast their way out, with Ahsoka only deflecting the shots from herself and Rex. Then we get a scene with Maul. As we last saw him in the last episode, he was an absolute beast and slaughtering the troops. He made his way down the hall listening in to the radio he got from the clone's arm he cut off in the previous episode, which was a crazy sweet scene. Maul makes his way into the hyperspace drive and generators, where we get a pretty interesting scene here. As we might see with something that Starkiller might do from the Force Unleashed game, which was a Star Wars game from 2008 that's no longer canon, Maul uses the Force to destroy and crush the hyperdrive, caving it all in, as well as crushing clones in that made their way in to stop him. Before that, he makes his way into the room with another sweet, similar scene to what we saw in the previous episode of him taking out all the clones with nothing else but the Force, which is oddly satisfying. We then go back to Ahsoka and Rex, clearing out one of the control rooms to the hangar. After Maul destroys the hyperdrive generators, the ship is ripped out of hyperspace, bringing it all to a halt, but only for some time. Ahsoka and Rex quickly learn that the cruiser is stuck in a gravitational pull to the moon, and time is now really starting to run out. The name of the moon and the planet is still unknown and not confirmed to have a name. We open up the hangar doors to find a ship to escape, but only find a ship that is completely surrounded by Jesse and the other clones. Here we get a very emotional scene, and what many call Ahsoka at her purest and at her finest. Rex tries to convince her that there's no time to save any of the clones, and that they're just like mindless robots and are willing to die in order to kill them. Ahsoka then replies with, "They may be ready to die, but I will not be the one that kills them." As she removes Rex's helmet, he sheds a tear. Rex knows the effect that Order 66 puts on them, as he was just affected by it, and you really can't resist it, and he's even losing hope here, I'd say. Ahsoka quickly comes up with a plan, and with no time, she explains it to Rex and the droids on the way. Rex comes out of the hangar with Ahsoka hostage, then trying to reason with Jesse, trying to buy enough time for the droids to make the platforms that the clones are on to go down. This scene is important because we see that the clones aren't just mindless after all, and they can be reasoned with, and that they aren't like mindless killing machines that we've seen in Jedi Fallen Order or the movies. I really like this whole thing as well because we really get to see Order 66 from the clones' points of views and how they talk to one another and actually plan out things, and that they aren't just mindless killing machines after all. Rex does reason with Jesse for a minute, and he even puts down his gun, but then puts it right back up as his chips kicks back in. Then all-out war sort of breaks out here, with Ahsoka using her lightsabers only to deflect the blast away and Rex stunning them all, and then the droids making the platforms go up and down with the troops on it. Things start to go as planned here, with the two making their way to the ship holding off the remaining clones. And then the trouble comes. Maul comes running towards the ship, and Ahsoka runs after him, but Maul uses a huge force push, pushing her away, and Ahsoka goes flying over to where the platforms are with the clones, almost leaving her to her end. But Rex comes to the rescue and gets her back up, but Maul takes off with the ship and gets out of there. But before he can, we see something quite similar to something we've seen in The Rise of Skywalker or the Force Unleashed games. Ahsoka takes a hold of the ship, holding onto it, pulling it back with the Force. But with Rex getting hit, she has to let go. I absolutely love this scene, and it really shows how powerful and how far Ahsoka's really come. Ahsoka then does something pretty interesting here, cutting around herself with her lightsabers, using the Force with her lightsabers to cut a circle in the ground, which is a pretty cool scene. And it's something that really made me say wow, as it's something I've never actually seen before and thought it was pretty neat. But this is actually something that happens in a deleted scene in Revenge of the Sith. They then find another ship, a Y-Wing bomber, and then Rex hops into it and Ahsoka holds them off. Then the cruiser takes a twist here, and things really begin to fall apart here, with the main deck blowing up and everything beginning to go sideways. Ahsoka runs and hops into the Y-Wing, but it falls, and so does she, out of the ship. We then get a pretty cool scene here with Ahsoka running along parts of the cruiser, trying to find Rex, and Rex trying to find her. We then get this pretty cool scene here with Ahsoka running along the parts of the cruiser, and trying to find Rex, and Rex trying to find her. She finds the Y-Wing, and is able to get on there safely, after a couple of tries, of course. And things begin to cool down here, and calm down. The cruiser crashes, and then things fade out. I personally think the reason why Ahsoka is one of the most likable characters, let alone one of the most likable female characters in the Star Wars universe, is because we see her struggle so much. Throughout this entire episode, we see her struggle with everything, from getting shot a few times, to not getting into the Y-Wing first try, to even not being able to pull back the ship that Maul was escaping in, and her plan not working. She struggles with almost everything, and that leads to good character development, and she really grows. And I mean absolutely no hate towards the movies or the sequels. As myself, I absolutely love them. They were the first Star Wars movies I got to see in theaters, but I think one of the biggest things that made Rey such an unlikable character, and I'm not saying I don't like her either, and is the reason that we don't really get to see her struggle that much, and people call her a Mary Sue for this. I simply can't name anything she really struggled with besides the finding out who she really was and being a Palpatine. This leads me to why I believe the next animated show and project that Lucasfilm really comes up here that's similar to Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars Resistance, and Star Wars The Clone Wars should be an animated series between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, explaining race training and what's going on with the Resistance then. I think it would be pretty cool, but I'll cover that in a different video. Although I've heard many people also want a series at the end of Clone Wars and A New Hope based around Vader, which would be pretty neat. This then brings me to my next point, which we saw next in the episode. I'll do a separate video on what I think the next anime show should be and why and all that jazz in a different episode. We then get a pretty emotional and sad scene here with Rex and his shovel after burying his brothers, and then Ahsoka looking over their graves. Each of their helmets over their grave, and we see Jesse's helmet, which really made me cry, as Jesse's literally a character that we've had since the very beginning until the end. He was a great side character in my opinion, and deserved a better death and something more memorial, such as maybe even Rex killing him, or maybe just Rex stunning him at least. But I can't complain, it was still very emotional. We then see Ahsoka look at her lightsaber one last time, and then drop it. I found it odd that she only had the one lightsaber, however, as when she was going for the Y-Wing bomber, she had both of her lightsabers. Perhaps she still has one. I see this as a very important scene to Ahsoka, as she's now letting go of her Jedi past and accepting the new life of hiding. We see the painted helmets and the clones painted for her when they heard that she was returning, which makes us all the more emotional. Then fades out to black. The next scene here is absolutely stunning and feels very unreal. We get a crazy scene here with some time has passed. We see a snowy planet and some stormtroopers. So enough time has passed for the Galactic Empire to form and go from clones to stormtroopers, and an Imperial shuttle lands, much like the ones we've seen in the original trilogy. Then the menacing breathing comes in of Vader walking by. This scene feels so unreal and almost like a fan film or something that Star Wars theory would do. The snowy planet is the same moon the cruiser crashed on, and we have Vader walk up on a spot. And we see him dig around in the snow as he pulls out Ahsoka's lightsaber. He grips it with both hands and ignites it, then puts it away. The This can also be seen as maybe Luke Skywalker on Hoth with his lightsaber. He later gives that lightsaber to one of the Inquisitors, as we see in the Ahsoka novel. Ahsoka uses different lightsabers as we see in Star Wars Rebels, as she gets some scrap metal and uses crystals from the Inquisitors' lightsabers, making them purified from red to white. We then see a bird call from above, and this bird is known as Morai, also known as the embodiment of the light side. She's now watching over him and knows that the Chosen One has changed the fate of the galaxy. We then get a beautiful shot of Ahsoka's helmet and Vader walking away, seen in the visor. This can be seen as a symbol of Vader or Anakin walking away from Ahsoka and their whole journey together, their relationship and their past together, who they've been together, and all the things that they've done together. It's just an absolutely beautiful shot, and let alone makes me want to cry. I also love how this entire scene literally has no lines. Nothing is said. It's all just visuals, which makes it all the more powerful and meaningful. We then get created by George Lucas as The Clone Wars, my childhood, your childhood perhaps, something that brings us together, ends. Wow. This could not have been done any better. It was absolutely amazing. And that's why my score for this episode, of course, is going to be a solid 10 out of 10. And there's pretty much nothing I would ever change here. A special thank you to Dave Filoni and his team at Lucasfilm for making this show coming back and just giving it its proper ending that it truly deserved. We can't thank you enough. Huge thank you. If you're still watching right now, let me know what your favorite part of the episode was, or something you noticed in the comments below. Something that I personally noticed was when the beginning of this arc, when we have Ahsoka and Anakin seeing each other for the first time in a long time, and Anakin introduces Rex and part of the 501st Legion to Ahsoka. Rex actually has a painted orange helmet that we've seen before, but in these later episodes, these last two specifically, he has his normal Rex helmet, which is something I found pretty interesting. Leave a like, as I worked pretty hard on this video and it really helps out the channel. Subscribe for more videos and content like this, and check out our Instagram Unofficial Star Wars linked in the description. And of course, may the Force be with you. I'll be crying in my room. Peace out.